Well, it has been a big week in national security. Among the headlines, a call for Israeli leadership change and questions about presidential handling of classified documents. In addition, growing gang violence is upending life in Haiti. Regional leaders have agreed to step in and create a transitional leadership council, but they have not yet finalized those plans. And for analysis, we are joined by CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd for our new weekly national security recap. Sam, I'm excited to have this now as a regular feature. Let's go ahead and start here in the U.S. Former special counsel Robert Hur testified about his probe into President Biden's handling of classified documents. Former President Trump appeared in court Thursday for a hearing on his documents case. What impact do all of these cases have on national security?
Lana, good to see you. Well, our adversaries have eyes and ears, and we should assume that they were taking copious notes during special counsel Hur's testimony. The intelligence community has assessed that countries like Russia and China want to undermine the credibility of the United States on the world stage. And hours of testimony, not to mention the 300-page report detailing Hur's perception of Biden's mental acuity, give really great fodder to Russian bots and trolls to amplify online about U.S. decline. At the same time, there's operational security vulnerabilities here, too. It's not like we have a 300-page report detailing how Xi Jinping mishandles classified information. Unless vulnerabilities in how classified information is handled are remedied soon, our adversaries are going to have a real competitive advantage here. And now, switching to Trump, I will tell you, I could not get a basic security clearance if I was seriously in debt. It's viewed as a vulnerability if you're massively in debt because you're more susceptible to bribery. President Trump is hundreds of millions in dollars in debt, which means he's exploitable by foreign actors, and they're probably taking note of that and thinking about ways to exploit him in light of his indebtedness.
Very interesting points. Let's talk about the crisis in Haiti, Sam. Secretary of State Blinken visited the region. There was also the evacuation of some U.S. personnel, some other nations' personnel and international agency personnel all there. How does the escalation of gang violence affect international security?
Well, there's strategic and operational work underway. As you previously mentioned, the United States and our partners are working to facilitate a transition to a transitional governing council, which is really a prerequisite for the arrival of about 1,000 Kenyan police officers who will help provide security. At the same time, the safety and security of embassy personnel is top of mind for the administration. I worked a lot on embassy security, and despite the fact that additional DoD resources arrived in Haiti to help enhance security and non-essential embassy personnel left, I am certain that there are at least daily conversations about whether to totally shutter the embassy before things get even more out of control. But what's really critical in terms of the homeland perspective on this is whether there's a mass surge in maritime migration of Haitians towards the United States. That's happened before when we've had various man-made or natural disasters, and we know that DoD and DHS are preparing for such a surge. They're preparing, for example, facilities at Guantanamo Bay to hold some migrants before potentially returning them. Now, Lana, it's important to note we haven't seen a surge yet. This is out of an abundance of caution, and DHS did return 65 migrants back to Haiti just last week, and I think they're hoping that'll deter others from trying to take a similar journey.
Sam, let's talk about the Israel-Hamas war. There's a lot to get into there, but one of the major headlines was Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's speech. He took advantage of the position that he had, or the platform that he had as the nation's top elected Jewish official, to call for changes at the topmost levels of Israeli leadership. What has been the response to that?
Well, explosive, but it's not just Schumer. The U.S. intelligence community released a report this week that analyzed that the viability of Netanyahu's leadership may be in jeopardy. Plus, there are recent polls in Israel indicating that the majority of Israelis want early elections. But while all of this rhetoric is occurring, there was a part of Schumer's speech that's worth noting. He posed the question, must we change course? And Lana, the answer to that resoundingly has to be yes. 5 months after Hamas's brutal terrorist attack, there are more than 130 hostages still in Gaza. We've lost hundreds of Israeli soldiers. 30,000 plus Palestinian civilians are dead. I'm on the board of Save the Children. 1 in 6 children in Gaza is malnourished. That number is expected to increase. something's got to give. Now, the good news is we understand that ceasefire negotiations may have gotten some momentum. We may have the broad contours of a deal in which there is a swap of certain hostages for 700 to 1,000 prisoners. We know that there's more aid going in, not enough. But what could derail all of this is if Bibi Netanyahu feels like he has to go into Rafah prior to allowing ceasefire negotiations to progress. So I would assume that there is significant international pressure being applied behind the scenes to urge Netanyahu not to recklessly go into Gaza, put 1.4 million Palestinian lives at risk, and put the lives of the hostages at risk if ceasefire negotiations are derailed.
All right, Sam Vinograd, thank you.
Thanks.